So I watched The Real Friends of WeHo, so you don't have to, but you really should be. So as you know, The Real Friends of WeHo on MTV has been receiving a lot of backlash, but I've been watching the episodes. So we have episode 2, which I really liked, but also really got me mad by the end of it. So at the top of this episode, we're talking about the beef between Joey and Dorian. And I'm still Team Dorian on this whole situation because Dorian literally just was eating his food and minding his business. And that Karen, Joey's friend, started trouble. And Joey ran with it. But I don't agree with how Dorian overreacted with the whole situation. His bodyguard's there. He's like, what do you do for work? Let's stop with the whole influencers who don't have jobs. They have jobs and they're making a lot more money than a lot of us. But Joey did too much. And I think Dorian was reacting and defending himself. Probably the way that he's probably has to defend himself his entire life. But I'm not delusional. Dorian is a lot. Dorian is an elitist in a lot of different ways. So last week I didn't talk a lot about Brad. I love that we get representation of Brad and his relationship. They've been together for 21 years. You don't see people talk about this, but there are plenty of couples, gay couples, that have been together a very long time. Also, I didn't talk a lot about James. I did say how much I love James's accent. James, I wish you would use that accent all the time. I understand in these media spaces you got to turn on something else. I love your southern drawl. What I don't love is Jonathan Bennett. Here's the thing with James. So James wants to get back into hosting and doing those other things that he used to do, but they have this gay traveling company that they've launched. And I don't like how Jonathan is able to go do his acting thing and all of that. And I'm sure it pays the bills, but I still feel like it's going to be important for James to still follow his other passions so that you don't have resentment in your relationship. And I know a lot of you have turned off The Real Friends of WeHo because you don't like Todrick, but I feel like in episode 2, Todrick brings up some really valid points, especially when he tells Joey, this is what you did not take in perspective when dealing with Dorian at your home. Black people in white spaces. We sometimes, because I didn't even pay attention to it either, I just thought that Dorian may have had anxiety because of the pandemic and not being among people. But yeah, we didn't take that into account, and I'm glad he brought that up to his white friend. So I really probably will have to do a separate video talking about Curtis's storyline, but he really is the heart of the show. The scene with his sister was so heartbreaking, so triggering at the same time. I feel like a lot of gay black men, but gay men in general, can relate to what he's going through when coming out of the closet, and also being a different type of gay man in this scene. Guys, what did you think of the episode? So I had to do a second video about The Real Friends of WeHo because we have to expand on Curtis Hamilton's story. Again, I feel like he is the heart of the show, but it was quite triggering by the end of this episode. I said it last week, I said it in my recent recap of The Real Friends of WeHo. Curtis's story is so necessary. It's the heart of the show. It's the reason why we needed this type of show on television right now. Because he's a part of the community that doesn't get shown a lot. You know, a lot of these networks like to give you the flamboyant, oh, hey girl, how you do? Which is great. That is also part of our community, but that's the only part that they love to show on television. But the thing with Curtis's story that is quite triggering very much in this episode is his trying to please his family and represent for his family, which you cannot do, Curtis. The conversation that Curtis has with his sister on FaceTime at the end of this episode is part of the reason why it's important for people a part of the LGBTQIA plus community need to be seeing a therapist, because it was manipulative, it was triggering, and I'm not surprised that he's like, I can't film anymore, why he started breaking down, because the level of pressure that his sister put on his back to represent for the family, when this is his story, this is his life, this is his mental health, is part of the reason why gays have gone to drugs and even unliving themselves. But I have hope. I have hope by the end of the season we see that Curtis lives for himself and not for his family.